Okay, there we go, guys. Looking pretty good. Got Susie Q to be the line master here. Yeah, look at those fries. You got the Polish there.
Yeah, Polish and the dog
I've never
ducked
seen
out.
fries like that. It must be some special
They call them sidewinder fries.
sidewind. Good morning, folks. Good morning. It's DJ Wonder Chrissy at it again, and it's Sunday, February 4th, and we always have a good show for you guys. Let me get this set up here for you first. Got a variety of good topics here, thought-provoking topics for you. The first one we're going to talk about is, this happened a while ago, but I'm hearing the TSA is expanding their facial recognition. Can you say authoritarianism? Can you say government overreach? Can you say privacy invasion? Can you say China? Yeah, that's what's going on at the airports, and you need to know that you can opt out of this nonsense. Otherwise, you're heading down the path to authoritarianism and socialism real quick. So let's watch this video, and then we're going to have some interesting happenings in the Denver area. As they're pushing people out into the streets. Other counties, such as Colorado Springs, are getting ready to move the migrants on, basically. They're coming up with an approach to keep the migrants from getting into their communities, which I think we all need to learn how to do. So let's watch this first video about the TSA and its expanding of facial recognition, which I'm sure you didn't hear much about from Big Gov, right? Big Gov ain't going to tell you about this until you show up at the airport.
Record-setting crowds fill airports nationwide. Passengers may encounter new technology at the security line. At 25 airports in the U.S. and Puerto Rico, the TSA is expanding a controversial digital identification program that uses facial recognition. This comes as the TSA and other divisions of Homeland Security are under pressure from lawmakers to update technology and cybersecurity.
Oh, it's Congress's fault. That's why we have to do this.
Chris Van Cleve has more.
Good morning.
At the world's busiest airport.
And listen to this guy's excuse on what it's offering the consumer and why it's such a big benefit.
Atlanta.
All right, you're fully verified. You can step around. Have a great day.
The TSA checkpoint has gotten a high-tech upgrade.
You're going to take your ID, insert it into the card reader.
Using this facial recognition camera system to compare a flyer's face to their picture on their ID in seconds.
All right, ma'am, you're verified. Thank you very much. You can step around.
If there's not a match, like here in this demonstration, the TSA officer is alerted for further review.
It's showing that the ID is a valid ID. It's showing non-match because those are two different people.
We view this as better for security, much more efficient because the image capture is fast, and
Better for security and it's quicker.
you'll save several seconds, if not a minute.
Oh, what are we going to do with all those seconds, right? You save 20 seconds. I've just added on years to my life, I guess.
Administrator David Vikoski, how does that speed things up?
Well, facial recognition, first and foremost, is much more accurate. And we've tested this extensively, so we know that it brings the accuracy level close to 100% from like mid 80% with just a human looking at a facial match.
The program has been rolled out to more than 24 airports nationwide since 2020, but is currently voluntary for flyers. Most images are deleted after use, but some information is encrypted and retained for up to 24 months.
Oh, yeah, they're going to retain some of that, of your private information. Yeah. And this is what they're telling you. What they're actually doing is probably another thing.
The ongoing review of how the technology performs. There are skeptics. 5 U.S. senators sent this letter demanding.
Wow, even the Democrats are skeptical of this. Go figure. This is interesting.
TSA halt the program.
You don't have to compromise people's biometric security in order to provide physical security at airports.
And privacy advocates will
Starts with taking your shoes off and your belts, and then now they're taking your face. Welcome to China, folks.
worry about the lack of regulations around facial recognition and its tendency to be less accurate with people of color. You have 5 senators that have called
Oh, there you go. Got a Black History Month tie-in here.
on TSA to stop the program. Why continue moving forward with it?
I agree with them in that I want to protect privacy for every passenger, and that I want to deploy technology that's accurate and doesn't disadvantage anybody.
As for passengers opting to use it,
This is on quick already through. Got nothing to hide. So no concerns here. I think it's great.
TSA plans to add the technology to at least 3 more airports by the end of the year. For CBS Mornings, I'm Chris Van Cleve in Atlanta.
Well, we have that to look forward to, I guess. Not. Comment down below what you think of that whole idea, and are you going to opt out, or what's going to go on with you? Now, here's the next. I know I'm going to opt out. I don't travel on the airplanes that much anymore, but I just see that as just totally wrong, invasion of my privacy. And you know what? It's like living in China, and if I wanted to live in China, I would move to China. So there you go. And we got SGW. Thank you for the information. Hey, SGW, thank you for joining us early on a Sunday. Sunday. It's like 34 degrees and kind of foggy here in Chicago. Our snow is starting to disappear except for some piles. We're going to hit 57 in another 4 or 5 days. We're stuck in this rut of 40 to 50 degree weather, and we're looking forward to that. So now let's get into Denver. So Denver's taken the bold step of kicking people out of their shelters early in the winter. I'm surprised it's so early in the winter, but they must be running out of money big time. So let's listen to this and how one county, the Colorado Springs County, I guess south of Denver, is going to handle keeping the people from coming to their county and sucking up their resources. So pay attention, because you may need this in your county or your city in the near future.
Crisis in Denver is now trickling down to our area. They say at least 1 bus of migrants arrived in Colorado Springs on Sunday, but no one will tell us where they arrived. News 5's Maggie Bryan was at a news conference today with county leaders, and Maggie, they say the county will not be a sanctuary for migrants.
Diane, county commissioners say they will not allocate resources to help families who come here and are calling on nonprofits to also refuse to help. But the Salvation Army says their mission is to...
There's that dreaded word again, Salvation Army. We haven't heard much about them in the Chicago area. They were involved in the migrants early on, but lately I haven't heard about them. They've got some churches involved. I think someone learned their lessons early in Chicago, but I've got an idea for the people in Denver. Revoke their business license, and maybe that'll solve it for you.
help people no matter where they come from. We in El Paso County must draw a line in the sand. We're not in the business of selling dreams that can't be fulfilled. El Paso...
Listen to that, folks. Someone with a common sense hat on. Listen to what she said.
In the sand. We're not in the business of selling dreams that can't be fulfilled. El Paso County...
Wow. Wow. It would be amazing if all of our politicians would recognize that and decide that at some point. Just imagine the millions, if not billions of dollars that would save people.
Leaders are making their stance clear.
The spillover is now affecting our community, and it's something that's unacceptable.
The county will not shelter or provide resources to migrants coming here from Denver. They say it's in the hands of the...
Kudos to Fred Zeppelin. He doesn't like the red kettle stuff either. I won't say what he said, but it's bull. Yeah, it's bull.
Federal government to secure the border. Keep going. Find a sanctuary city. They asked for those folks to come to their city.
Yeah, let's make it like what do they call those scavenger hunts? Go find your sanctuary city when we kick you out of Denver.
Find one of those. That's where you should go. County commissioners say sanctuary cities like Denver, who have promised resources to migrants, are seeing a strain on shelters and law enforcement. NBC News reports 40,000 migrants have arrived in Denver over the past year.
We're saying we don't want that here in El Paso County, and we have the ability to say
no.
That we're going to handle it differently.
The county is handling...
No is a powerful word, folks. Remember that. Too many parents don't tell their kids no. A lot of people are afraid to say no. But it's very, very powerful to tell someone no. And we need to do it a little bit more often.
This by calling on nonprofits to not give resources to migrants who come to them for help. The Salvation Army in El Paso County says it's...
There's that dreaded name again. Look, they even got the badge there. Ah!
I think we've seen 23 families come through.
A spokesperson for the organization says they are already helping families who arrived in the area on...
Take away their business license.
For 150 years to meet the needs of suffering humanity.
Been stealing from people for 150 years. Why should we stop, right?
Discrimination, and so we will continue to probably do that for the next 150 years.
Wednesday afternoon, Mayor Yemi Mobolade released a statement saying, "We will not invite this crisis into our city, and we are not a sanctuary city. It's the city's duty to care for its residents first, and that remains our top priority."
Wow. These people in Colorado Springs have taken some common sense pills. I have not heard of politicians this common sense boosted at all. In my 2 months of covering this, I have never heard anyone in New York City, Chicago, or Denver have this much common sense and display it all in verbally and written form.
But he goes on to say, hope, political grandstanding.
Uh-oh, that dreaded word, hope, hopium. We need the hopium.
Saying, do not come here, are not efficient response strategies.
Oh, he's saying hope is worthless. Yeah, pretty much. If you gotta rely on hope, you're relying on nothing. There you go. Do not come here. They're not efficient. You gotta not provide for them. That's what you gotta do.
Hope, political grandstanding, and simply saying, do not come here, are not efficient response strategies. The mayor also said the Pikes Peak Regional Office of Emergency Management is planning for different scenarios should migrants arrive unannounced. He says the agency is talking with local nonprofits to understand what resources they have available. Diane.
Maggie, thank you. We also reached out to several other local nonprofits to see how they're reacting. At our deadline, we only heard back from the CEO of Care and Share. Nate Springer said it is not Care and Share's business to turn anyone away across southern Colorado.
Uh-oh.
He went on to say the magic of Care and Share and our network is the low barrier to entry. Name, number of people in the family, zip code. Those are the only questions.
We need to defund this guy.
This was the first bus of migrants we know of to arrive in Colorado Springs. In Denver, it's been a very different story. Here's a look at the numbers from the city. They say just today,
54 migrants arrived, 27 yesterday. The city of Denver says they're currently supporting more than 38,000 migrants and sheltering.
They got more than Chicago, and their population is only 700,000, folks.
City-run shelters this week. They've been allowed to stay in those shelters for an unlimited amount of time since November because of the cold weather. But the shelters, they're beginning to put a cap on the amount of time families can stay.
3 months, November, December, January.
To data from the city, 160 families were discharged just on Monday. Between 40 to 120 more, they're going to be discharged every day, they say, through the end of March. The Denver mayor's office went before city council today and acknowledged that they do not know exactly what the impacts on the city are going to be as hundreds of migrants are put back on the streets. Some of the options they're looking at include buying bus tickets or paying for hotels.
Send them to Chicago. There's no snow there, or they got rid of their snow. Yeah, we don't know the impact. That sounds like coming for some liberal somewhere who just doesn't have a clue. But there you go. We don't have a clue. We're just going to throw them out on the streets. Look for tent cities to prop up again in Denver. I've seen early in the year they had some major tent cities going on downtown on the sidewalks and the parking lots in downtown Denver.
Hotels for the migrants, but that includes spending more of the city's budget. Today, the city said it has spent about $46 million on supporting migrants and providing them with shelter. Over $5 million have gone to bus tickets alone.
Wow, look at that. They're sending them on to other places. Wonder why California is flooded with homeless. $5 million on bus tickets. Wow. If you guys want to do spring break or anything, head to Denver and put on some blackface or something and tell them you'd like to go to Texas or wherever, Mexico, and maybe they'll give you a ticket. $46 million, that's nothing. That's what Chicago spends in 1 month, folks. Chicago is right now spending $46 million on illegals in 1 month.
$17 million has been spent on hotels and lodging. City officials say on that trajectory, the city can expect to spend about $180 million in 2024. This would cause the city to cut 10% of its entire budget.
Stop.
Okay, so there you go. That's Denver. That's going to get interesting real quick. Let me see if I can find you this one where...
Let's bring in Chicago journalist.
William Kelly of Chicago, journalist who had his press credentials revoked by Lori Lightfoot. He still does not have his credentials. Talks about, I guess, Senator Cruz, who from Texas is going to start probing into spending in Chicago and maybe some of the other cities. So maybe the feds are starting to get a little bit soft and thinking about sending some more money this way. I don't know, but they're going to do some research and probes into why Chicago is spending so much money. So let's listen to his comments.
William Kelly, William, good to see you. Thanks for being with us. Do this for me.
Bless you, Sean.
Set the scene for us with what's happening in Chicago with this migrant crisis.
Wow. Well, this migrant apocalypse is really what I'm hearing now. Every Chicagoan that I talk to say that they've survived the lockdown, the looting, the violent crime, and now to deal with this migrant crisis that will be the death knell of Chicago. This is what I'm hearing from Chicagoans everywhere I go. The only industry that's really thriving in Chicago is the migrant industry. The migrant,
Go figure. The only industry thriving. Yeah, when you hear the numbers of millions, they just keep throwing around like pieces of candy. Yeah, makes you wonder why.
Hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent on migrant health care, migrant housing, migrant security. We have a contract that we're researching right now at reporter WilliamJKelly.com. I'm doing a series of reports on the migrant money shell game, is what I call it. Over $100 million on culturally sensitive food because the migrants are unhappy with the food. You know, as an Irish Catholic from the south side of Chicago, I can't help but wonder if I snuck into a country, would I be demanding deep dish pizza? You know,
yeah, and as I know, I'm from Chicago. I love deep dish pizza. I know when I go to Hawaii or Europe or Florida, you don't order deep dish pizza. It's just not the same. They don't have the knowledge and the equipment to make it properly, folks.
I understand on a serious note that, you know, Senator Ted Cruz is doing an investigation, a Senate hearing into the misuse of funds at to house migrants at O'Hare International Airport. I can supply him.
That should be easy to resolve. That's being done, folks. It has been done and continues to be done.
With a pretty incredible story about the misuse, apparently from you know what we're hearing, what we understand thus far, the misuse of COVID funds, millions of COVID funds now that are being redirected to, you guessed it, migrants.
Well, talk, William, about this Kansas firm. It's not, there's a firm that I think it's, the total contract is $170.
Favorite staffing, folks.
But it's based in Kansas. It is a healthcare staffing firm.
Yes, exactly.
Why aren't more people just chapped and chafed and just pissed off about that?
Well, you know, thank you, Dagan. You are 100% right. This is exactly what I'm hoping Senator Ted Cruz will help Chicagoans get to the bottom of in his, you know, during.
Yeah, this came out back in November. They're paying $100,000 for hotel room cleaning staff, $250,000 to $300,000 for security, rent-a-cops, and upwards of $800,000 for nurses.
His Senate probe, because every time you hear $100 million, that's $100 million per company, providing culturally sensitive meals, providing housing, providing security. This favorite healthcare staffing is a perfect example of this. You know, I'm starting to think, you know, maybe I could get $100 million if I opened a migrant spa.
You know, we played the video from Cata Truss. We spoke to her, I think it was last week, and she says I'm a lifelong Democrat. But the Democrats have turned their back on me. I'm going to vote Republican. Whenever you're asked this question, are people going to change their leadership to change policy? And oftentimes the answer is no. Is there now a feeling in Chicago that they're begging for different kinds of leaders, that maybe Republicans or more moderate Democrats?
Well, you know, the Democrat National Convention is coming to Chicago.
I'm waiting for Trump to hold a rally in Chicago. There were some people in the religious community, and I think Cata Truss was one of them, urging Trump to come do a rally in the city limits of Chicago.
As I'm sure you know,
Yes.
in August, the whole world will be watching. This is an opportunity for, you know, Governor.
I can guarantee you if the border's still open, Governor Abbott's going to be sending some buses to Chicago during the DNC. That's guaranteed.
Like Pritzker, who has national ambition to...
Chris Christie of the Midwest, J.B. Pritzker.
To show off Chicago, but as it stands right now, the only thing to show is violent crime. There have been two mass shootings in Chicago right out in front of Chicago public schools, where Chicago public school students have been shot dead to die on the sidewalk at lunchtime. So this is what's happening in Chicago right now, while millions...
Word has it that Gaza has done a resolution in response to Chicago's resolution that there be a ceasefire in Israel. People in Gaza have submitted a resolution that there should be a ceasefire in Chicago. Go figure. Think about that one.
Millions upon millions of dollars are being redirected to migrants. The resident homeless are out in the cold, literally, elderly, obviously vulnerable populations. I'm talking to middle-class Chicagoans who said that they just can't bear this burden anymore. They can't provide for a family. They have to move. They're telling me Chicago is doomed.
Well, we're going to keep following this story. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you for telling the Chicago story on the bottom line.
God bless you, Sean and Dagan.
So yes, Chicago is doomed. Thank you for SGW, Fred Zeppelin, and Uno. Uno, do you make some pizza? Do you make some deep dish? That was one of the original deep dish places in Chicago, Pizzeria Uno. Maybe he's related, I don't know. Set me up with some deep dish if you can. I am DJ Wonder Chrissy. We had some long videos for you today, but it was good information. We're arming you with information. We're all about the migrant mayhem. Check out our channel, Land Cruiser Midwest, folks, right down there, over here, Land Cruiser Midwest. This is Migrant Mayhem. We've got a lot of cool content. Check out the car shows. We do some Chicago deep dish pizza. We do some Portillo's. We go to Wisconsin and hit some great pubs and bars and take you some places that you would never see unless you came to the Midwest. Don't spend much time in downtown Chicago because we actually fear for our lives when we go into the city of Chicago. Very rarely do we go into the city of Chicago. I don't want to take my life in my hands. But anyway, we're overrunning here, so I'm going to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. It does help with the algorithm. We also say God bless to the United States of America, God bless to the USA, and God bless to Donald Trump. Over and out, DJ Wonder.